Being able to do the right decision at the right moment is one of the most crucial skills for every entrepreneur. And for that reason, I'm going to share the tips that improved my decision making. First, you need to be familiar with the concept of decision fatigue. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you have the most mental energy for the day, and your ability to make decisions slowly deteriorates with every decision you make. And as a chess player, I can vouch for that. The players make the most blunders in the end of the game, when they're exhausted. And the same things happens with us every day. We just make the worst decisions in the evenings, when our minds are the most fatigued. And for that reason, you have to minimize the decisions you have to make each day. From the decisions what you're going to wear, what food you're going to eat, to some very important decisions in your business. You just had to minimize the amount of decisions you had to make. And a lot of people are making decisions constantly by checking social media. Should they scroll further? Should they close the app? Should they open a new app? They're making decisions constantly and draining their brain. What you should do instead is to make the most important decisions for the day in the beginning of the day. And also you should think about the lifetime of every decision you take. If you're going to decide what type of clothes you would wear every day and make this decision kind of important for you, your decision making deteriorates. And that's the reason billionaires use the same clothes every day. For example, Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. They just decided what they're going to wear and wear it every day. And that made their decision making better. And also you become more creative. The less time you spend on the trivial tasks and on trivial decisions, the more creative you become. And you should really delegate the tasks of cooking and cleaning to other people if you can. Just spend the less time thinking and doing these things, because they don't give you nothing in return. The next tip about decision making is that you should make decisions that somewhat stretch you. The ones that stretch your ability and just force you to grow. For example, if you're somewhat afraid of the weight in the gym, if you're somewhat unsure if you're going to be able to do these reps in the gym, that's the right weight. You need to be somewhat stressed about the weight. And the same thing about the decisions in your entrepreneurship journey. The biggest entrepreneurs are the biggest risk takers. And you can't grow if you don't take the risk. And the recent risk I took is switching to English. It was somewhat scary and uncomfortable, but I decided to do this because it just forces me to grow, to become better. And these types of decisions are usually the best ones, if you think about it. The other tip is to keep your sleep, diet and exercise in check. You just need to take care of your body like an athlete. Even chess players have their routines. Bobby Fischer, the world champion, once said that his chess are deteriorating if he is not in his best shape. And the same things happens to every entrepreneur. As soon as you start eating sugar, sleeping irregularly, stop exercise, your decision making as a consequence becomes worse. And I'm not going to give you advice on diet, sleep and exercise, because to each their own, but I personally exercise every day, try to eat a carnivore diet with some fruits and limit the amount of carbohydrates and sweets. Then I also try to get 8 hours of sleep every day. Sometimes I do get less sleep, but it's something out of the ordinary. And that might sound a bit controversial, but sometimes you need to experiment with your routine to break it. If you're noticing that you're not that creative, that you're doing the same thing over and over again, you can just break this cycle and try something new. For example, try to wake up earlier, or try to wake up later, or change your diet or exercise, or discover new genres of music. If you switch things up, new neurological patterns are going to form in your brain, and that will make you more creative and improve your decision making. And I'm not going to say to try different states of mind on drugs, on alcohol and all these things. You can just experiment with the routine and still get new insights. You don't need drugs for that. When I saw the video of Sam Owens, he was talking about how he changed his routine to find new patterns, to find the new path he's going to take. And he at the time was a very disciplined person who ate only good things. And then he decided to experiment, to try to eat ice cream every morning. And that consequently puts him in a different state of mind, just because he switched things a little. And that's an underrated advice you don't hear often. Try to switch things up and see what happens. The next thing that drastically improves your decision making is meditation. Meditation makes you more aware of the actions you're going to take in advance. If you want to do some bad things, for example, scroll social media or eat sugar or skip your exercising, meditation makes you aware of that. And just before you open your Instagram, you become aware of that and stop doing this. So if you are a consistent meditator, your decision making becomes much better. And I suggest you just to meditate 20 minutes every day. It doesn't matter, in the evening, in the mornings, doesn't matter. Just the consistency is the most important thing. And then after some time, you will start to see the results, that you become more present and your decision making is improving. The next thing is arguably the most important. You should limit the amount of random input in your brain. Do this by abstaining from social media and just checking the random content people put out there. Because socials are kinda built on drama, news, politics, and all this bullshit. And when your brain consumes all of that, you just try to resolve the unresolved conflicts that you see on social media, on the news. You may think about Trump and Kamala Harris all day, but it doesn't make you better. You just become kinda dumber, to be honest. Or stressing about other global events. If you're going to think about drama, politics, news, you just accumulate a lot of decision-making fatigue. It doesn't matter for your brain if this issue is important or not. He's going to try to resolve all these different issues on the background. And because of that, you should limit your inputs. The only thing you should think about is your goal and how to achieve it. And your brain will start to resolve this issue instead of thinking about politics. That's what normal people do, and that's why they don't achieve nothing from their lives. The next thing I really recommend you to do is to make some thinking sessions as a part of your day. You just sit there with a notebook and a pen and think about things you want to think about. And that's a good exercise, because when we give advice, we are the most clever people on earth. But what if you can give advice to yourself? And you can. You can take an hour from your day, just set a timer, and think about the issues you want to think about. For me, it was how to improve YouTube videos. Should I buy this course or should I not? What will matter in 10 years? Just think about the important issues. And thinking is maybe the most important job there is. And the hardest one, as Henry Ford said. The next thing I want to emphasize is that you need to know about the universe we live in. Because without general knowledge, without broad knowledge, you can't really make a right decision. As Charlie Munger once said, to a man with only a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. You don't want your mind to be a hammer. You want it to be a range of different instruments. A drill, a shovel, and so on and so on. You get the point. And for that reason, I recommend you to just research about mental models. And there is a bunch of good books on it by Shane Paris. You can just pick up some basics from other disciplines that you think may not be applicable to your life or your business, but they are. The physics, the economics, the mathematics, statistics, everything is just interconnected. And when you don't have a clue about physics, about biology, about psychology, you're at a disadvantage. And I recommend you to start from physics, because as Elon Musk said, every law is just a recommendation, but you can't break the laws of physics. Also talking about mental models, the person who popularized this concept was Charlie Munger, and he's arguably one of the most successful investors of all time. Because of that, he's one of the most talented decision makers of all time. And I recommend you to read the book which is called Poor Charlie's Almanar. This is one of the most important books I've ever read. The next thing is having less things to do. Because as I said before, with every decision, your decision making ability just deteriorates. And for that reason, you should really focus. You should sacrifice the things that you don't need. Maybe you have an annoying girlfriend. How you're supposed to make good decisions if your girlfriend annoys you every time? Or if you have 10 different business models you're trying to grow. It just doesn't work like that. You had to sacrifice for your goal, or else your goal becomes the sacrifice. With a singular focus, you just make a lot more things done. That's just a fact. So the standard productivity advice is just bullshit. Less is truly more. The next thing about decision making is that you need to consider what other people are going to do. And for that, you should really spend time reading and researching about game theory. The mental model I picked up from game theory is to work things backwards from the end. What's the goal of the person I am competing against? I have a story about chess tournament. I was playing at the first table. That means I am the best on this tournament. And there's a new opponent against me. And for the first 20 turns, I was thinking that it's all very easy. He's a very bad player. He's just blundering his figures. But in the end, he just checkmated me because I didn't consider his point of view. You should really think about the power of incentives. What the other person is trying to achieve. For example, if you open the news, what's the most important goal of the news reporter? To get your attention. And because of that, he makes his headlines on his reports as shocking as possible, just to get you to read it and to watch ads or something. And because of that, I became so disgusted with news, because I understood their incentive. Never focus on anything else unless you have considered the incentives. And the last tip I want to share with you is that you should try to read biographies of many great people. I've read hundreds of books and dozens of biographies. And when you read a biography, for example, a biography of Churchill or a biography of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, you just download their mind in your own mind, and you will understand how these people are operating, how they're making their decisions. Therefore, when you will make your own decision, you will always have at the back of your mind how the successful person will resolve this, how the Napoleon will decide, how the Elon will decide, how the Churchill will decide. Everything will be at the back of your mind. And I'm going to leave you with probably my favorite quote of all time, and that quote is, "If I seen further than others, it's only because I stood on the shoulders of giants." And that was said by Newton. And that's all I had for today. If you want to watch the next video, click here. And if you want to read books I have mentioned to improve your decision making, you can click the links in the description. If you will decide to buy some of these books, I will be really thankful. And that will be good for you. Thanks a lot for watching, and see ya.